Hello, my name is Andy, and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro, and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to Newark and Sherwood, and to start this one, I'm outside of Village Hall, which is sited here on a junction in this village, right in the centre of it. And it's also close to the site of a plane crash. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we walk around Harby. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Harby is the easternmost village in the English county of Nottinghamshire, sitting as it does on that same tongue of land that Thorney and Wigsley both do. Despite being in Nottinghamshire, the nearest city is Lincoln, over the border into Lincolnshire. According to the 2011 census, Harby had a population of 336, up from 289 in 2001. Harby has close connections with quite a few local villages, some we've seen and some we've yet to see. One such village is Doddington. Doddington lies over the county border into Lincolnshire, but one thing in particular in this episode has an important connection to Doddington Hall. We'll get to that in a while. Harby is also linked to places like Saxilby, Skellingthorpe, Broadholme, Thorney and Wigsley, sharing as it does borders with all of them. Another place that Harby is connected to would be Tuxford. The village falls within the catchment area for Tuxford Academy, and there's a term-time school bus from Harby to the school. And let's not forget Swinethorpe, a small hamlet which is to Harby's south and falls within the parish boundaries. For a small village, it has quite a lot of important history. As was mentioned at the top of the video, the village is the site of a plane crash. A vampire jet, it killed 2 people and destroyed 3 houses. It's just one of the things mentioned on a very good information board that I found, which also has a map. So here, just outside the village hall, we have a map. I love finding things like these because I can show you where I'm going. Right, my walking route started just about here, close to Millfield Close, and then I've walked down here to where the village hall is here, and that's about as far as I've got so far. The rest of the route will see me go up Low Street, turn back on myself here to come down the High Street, and then I'll come down Church Road to catch the church, and there's a sports field down here as well, and then I'll just come back up here and walk back to the car. Now, I will mention Swinethorpe, which is very close to Harby. It's down here to the south. I'm not going to be going to that. I will try and find some pictures to put in the picture bit today to cover Swinethorpe, but I won't be going to that. What I will be going to though is North Harby, and up here that is where you'd find North Harby. Now there's not much in it, it's basically just a couple of farms, couple of houses, things like that, and I'm going to be doing that by putting the camera on the dashboard. So to finish with, from here I'll drive up through the village again, up Station Road towards North Harby. Arguably, the biggest event in the history of Harby would be the death here of Eleanor of Castile, Queen Consort of King Edward I of England. The house where her death occurred was the manor house, home of Richard de Weston in 1290. There's nothing left of that house now. Queen Eleanor's story begins in Clipstone, which is near Mansfield. The Queen had become ill while staying at the Royal Hunting Lodge there. Using the ferry at South Clifton, she'd been transported over the Trent to pray for her recovery at the Shrine of St Hugh in Lincoln, but died while staying here on the way. Harby set up a chantry chapel in 1294 where daily prayers were said following the death of the Queen. It was destroyed in the 16th century and demolished in 1876. The Queen's body was transported to London for burial. The King ordered Eleanor crosses to be built at each place where her body had rested overnight on the journey. Perhaps one of the most famous crosses on that route would be the very last one, Charing Cross. It's amazing to think that a small village like this has a connection to a major London landmark. Harby's primary school uses the name of Queen Eleanor, and incidentally it was built in 1909 to replace two former schools, Harby's Wesleyan and National schools. Harby also had a railway station on the Lancashire, Derbyshire and East Coast Railway. It was known as Doddington and Harby, and the former line is the same that crosses Fledborough Viaduct. The line is now the same Sustrans cycle route 64, known as the Skellingthorpe Walk. Later on we'll drive past the old station and over the line. Other than that, the village has been known primarily over the centuries for being agricultural, and it remains so to this very day. Lots of tractors out here. What about the people driving those farm vehicles? Let's learn a bit more about the people that make the place what it is, with some demographics. Harby has a relatively large area of land around the main village, some 4.8 square kilometres in fact. That gives us a population density here of 74.11. Age groups next, and we have a majority of working age citizens here, and that comes in at 52.2%. It's a fairly even split between the children and the senior citizens, around 24% each. The ethnic makeup is pretty unsurprising as well. In this part of the United Kingdom, you rarely find anything other than a white British citizen. Harby has a majority of these at 98.5%. And if you want to buy property here in this lovely far eastern corner of Nottinghamshire, you'd need something in the region of £232,000 for the average house. The village hall has 2 rooms to hire for groups, courses and circles. There's another room for hire at the local pub, the Bottle and Glass. The village hall has been here since 1958 and was later redeveloped, which included an extension and a full refurbishment in 2002 using lottery funding. On the wall we have a parish notice board, and this one is now done, guys. This is another village with a standalone post box, and vital as this is, there does appear to be a post office here as well. This building is both a shop and a post office, according to the information board, although I don't think it's open every day. Do you fancy a spa day? Well, Old Farm Spa might have you covered here. It provides a unique, exclusive spa experience that you won't find anywhere else, according to its website. Bus-wise, again, it's a demand-responsive area. There are roughly 3 services a day to Newark, Collingham and Saxilby, Mondays to Saturdays. Here's the village's only public house, the Bottle and Glass. It's been here for at least 250 years, and at the rear of it is a former smithy. It has 2 bar areas, each with a cosy log fire, a spacious restaurant and a private lounge, as well as a beautiful outdoor terrace and beer garden for alfresco dining during the summer. Recreation-wise, the village has a playing field with a bowls club and a children's play park. Residents can also rent allotments from the parish council. This area also has some tennis courts. The park and recreation ground has been a part of village life in Harby since just after the Second World War, opening in 1948. Here's the bowls club, which look pretty well maintained. It's at the back of the largest building on the playing field. And that would be the Jubilee Pavilion, and this opened its doors in 2002. It's almost like a second pub in a way, this. Now, personal memories again for me here. Harby was a place that used to hold, I'm not sure if it still does, a car boot sale, and it used to take place on the playing field that's right behind me. Let me know, Harby locals, does it still exist? Religious buildings next. This is the former United Methodist Chapel, built in 1907. It replaced a Free Methodist Chapel which stood on the same site. Here's Harby's main church, and this was built in 1877. It replaced a much earlier Chapel of Ease, which had become dilapidated. The now former vicarage was built in 1899. Dedicated to All Saints, it was built in the early English style. In the east wall of the tower is a statue in memory of Queen Eleanor. The aforementioned moated site of Richard de Weston's manor house is to the east of the church. It can be viewed from the rear of the churchyard. All that remains are the L-shaped trenches, which are the remains of the moat. The war memorial in the churchyard was unveiled by Major Jarvis of Doddington Hall on the 2nd of October 1920, and it was funded by the parishioners. There are some lamps in the churchyard as well, which I found to be interesting yet again. I do seem to be finding plenty of these around churches. So the map we found earlier was very informative. It had a lot of landmarks marked on that map, and one of those things was that house you can see right behind me. That is the former blacksmith's house. And we've also got windmills. Here is the capless stump of a 5-storey tower windmill built in 1876, which stands at the end of Millfield Close. It's notable as it was the last windmill to be built in Nottinghamshire. It's been a house since 1964. A post mill was also recorded for Harby too, built in 1810. Alright, it's time for a picture bit for Harby, and here that comes right now. The easiest way to present the picture bit today was to give you some of the shots I took of the notice board outside the village hall. Enjoy! And normally you get 5 pictures in the picture bit, but you're getting a 6th one today because I did promise you something of Swinethorpe. Okay, so effectively I'm back where I started here at the mill. And to finish off, we'll hop into the car, put the camera on the dashboard and go through North Harby, catching the school on the way and the old station house, and going over the old railway line and out into Lincolnshire. This has been the Parish of Harby, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out. you.